this other storage we're going. Yeah, I've met people who are definitely, suffering from some kind of narcissistic psychopathy, which is pleasant in many cases. Gives you a way, chances are if you know an industrialist, a psychopath, whatever, that's just it. You know them. They're people you can know. They're friendly. They're doing cool things all the time. They love animals. Or they seem like regular people. You might even be very pleased to know them. They seem like they're doing important things. It's nice that they favor you with their attention. They're always very enthusiastic. Right? They get people's attention essentially by being enthusiastic. It's a type of role they play, strategy. Hey, I'm really excited about the new awesome thing I'm doing. How you doing? Like, I'm doing this great thing and it's awesome, right? And they paralyze you with positivity, right? Energy and excitement. It's like they're trying to put it under your skin, get you excited about listening there as they hold you in one spot and paralyze you with their endless murmurs and excitations. Right? They're psychopaths. They're feeding on some level. And ask yourself, what kind of interaction that is constructive for the nature and non-parasitical for human beings involves someone else doing all the talking? Right? That's 99% of my interactions with females. Okay? They initiate everything. They are the ones that make, what's the word? Anyway, motions toward me. Solicitation, advances. They're the ones who, become sexual. They're the ones doing all the talking. They're the ones making arguments or taking unnecessarily touching and robbing me of things and stopping my time. In a sense, they're showing the female parasitical nature of the human mind. And they love it. They don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's the most positive thing in the world. Funny that you think either something's been taken away from you or getting a long time men had something taken away from them. What do you think happens to women all the time? Everyone is taking stuff from us. We gotta get ours, girls. And while there are some good points about everyone getting robbed by the opposite sex, for instance, it's nonetheless not a very legitimate way of interacting, right? And the fact that you start getting excited, after a while you're going to start to feel drained. As your suspension of disbelief wears out, every time they always present the same strategy. Always talking, always excited, always talking, always up, always excited. Why shouldn't they be excited? You're giving them everything every fucking time. You're a sure, bona fide vacuole for whatever they need to blow out and whatever they need to take. They're just parasites, right? Right? They're stalkers around here. They'll come across the trail when they're with their friends. They'll turn and face me, and she's always excited to see me. Boom! Lots of eye contact. Right? But she doesn't want to hear, or her husband, anything that I have to say. Right? How can he feel comfortable talking that his wife wants to fuck, and that every time she's ever interacting with me, wants to touch me because I excite her cannibalistic nature? No one is ever an able body, became an able body in the financial system, a cannibal. No one is ever able body, but a Cain and able body, because encompassed in the personality of the schizoid is a bull who was sacrificed, and a Cain who can do that, right? Still living and dying in the same mind. When you sacrifice yourself, you become the Cain of your able. A psychotic is someone who's the Cain of their able, right? A cannibal, right? Because you consume yourself, you'll eat anything. You'll take my time to the ends of the earth and tell me I went to you and you're a chiropractor or some sort of fuckhead naturopathic healer of some kind. You'll take all my money and all my time. You're like, oh yeah, after the 10 all my money's gone. This changed my life. Are you kidding? The next tech Hypno 1000 just came in, and this is going to take us right to the edge. Here, I'm going to touch your scrotum. We're sucking money out of your bank account. Here we go. because that's all they're doing. They're just feeding on you. And you'll notice, say, with alternative health and kooky healers and stuff, that, they have no morals about this. They think they're helping the world. They say that all their patients, but if you start interviewing people, you'll find out they've never actually done anything for anybody. They could be Chinese doctors, they're not fucking doing anything. No one that goes to a Chinese doctor for anything ever really gets the help they need. They just believe they do, because these people are actors to believe them. There's nothing, if you really want to be a good liar, you have to really believe it. To really believe it, right, you have to supplant a reasonable, ethical fidelity between lower and deeper orders of your brain and your neocortex, right? Who would you rather be on a ship for 20 days with? Someone whose intellect is connected to their emotional body, or someone whose intellect is not connected to their emotional body, is not going to understand what it means to you to have those two things connected. I'd rather be one, right? Being emotional doesn't mean it's like every time a seagull flies by, right? That's one level. Another level of emotions is the deep well of instinctual intelligence that lay within us, that goes back to the beginning of creation, so that creation could be steered aright by man. But right now, man is asleep at the wheel, and the people at the wheel are like a bunch of fucking demons, right? And they've created a world to completely imprison human beings. You can fight a gender, you can fight the white man, you can fight the black man, but everywhere you turn is a fight that's already won against the flesh and blood of all. It's on our lips, it's on everything we think we're solving, it's on every little green, it's in every gay parade, it's in every foot of every run for the cure in the last 1,000 years. You understand? You're done. You're cooked. Right? Stop trying to solve anything. Quit your job. Get out of school. Be family. Let's start commiserating each other. Let's come together in grief. What we've been lured into. And what do you think the people that control the world are going to do when that happens? Or as that happens? Because it does happen every day. People don't really know what it is, though, that's bringing them together. It's not an alien. It's not the next in an endless series of plagues or economic recessions, or venereal diseases, or conflicts between genders and races and sexes all over the world. It's something that's already happened. It's all put over the very son of our flesh and blood and all the measures thereof. That is wrong. It's wrong. And it's coming out of everyone's mouths, coming out of the noises from your rototiller and your lawnmower and your vacuum cleaner, on your vacuum cleaner, on the side of your computer, on the side of the shoe that your child is wearing, the rings of Saturn, the rings of control, right? And they speak to you because you're a lower initiate, and they know that for you is reserved these Babylonian languages of Babel, right? They speak death to you, you take it in because your chemical, mental, and pathological profiles are used to it. It's like the gruel you live on. People in every religion just living on gruel. In every science profession, you're living off of gruel. You think that 6 degrees and speaking a couple languages makes you smart? The people that rule over you have invented every signaling system in the world. They own you. They've invented and or perverted, because their sense of creation is often a perversion of what was already here. And what do you think that makes you when you speak their languages to your children? Those filthy languages, like the English language. There is no English language, but it is a tortured English. It is a tortor, right? Tor the tor, punish the bull. The bull itself becomes synonymous with torture. Right? Man must be tortured. The bull must be tortured. The by bull, which might as well be by the means of torture. Right? The bile of the means of the torture of man. It's all a book of torture. It's a book of magical torture and ceremonial planetary witchcraft. Right? Completed by the average schizoid citizen and or the employee of the bank or the captain. And when you become a property owner, it is private property because you are private in the many arms of the thing. You are a monster. You're a mo. You're the mo in money. Money is a negative financial unit. Your wages are the measures of death and debt into the ends of the dark, deep, vast vacuum that they call outer space. That the sun has to create nuclear energy to fill it all and will eventually turn into a red giant and kill the whole fucking world so that the bringer of all life to the earth is really a murderer who's on death row. And in 50 million years, we won't be here to see this wonderful cataclysmic conclusion. Just like every other religion, it always ends with the end of the world. Because it has to, because the logical extent of all languages is the death of the human race. Because every language and belief system is about death. It's a prison of death for human beings. It's fashioned for you, not just when you were born, but around everything to do with your birth. That's where there's a zygote. That's where there's a feed us and a uterus. When you come to the uterus, you're coming down the nave to the altar of your torture, where your parents are married or marred. Their marriage, the combination of two words for torture. That's right. And that's the world you live in. You know and don't know what the world, as an 8-year-old boy who wears camouflage, knows what war is like. Because you know and you don't know. It's got the word no built right into it, right? You know, no, you don't, right? No. Do you no, or do you not no? Don't no me. No. Right? No is built right into the word for the sun. The sun is an unsung hero, right? Who gave his life. Hero is born. You're all born heroes, like Jesus. You're born to die. Because in Egyptian mythology, Horus is born to set or to die. And yet the sun does not set, but it sings. Your breath does not end, but like the sun, it draws forth a new song. That is the reality of every breath you take. Trust me, I breathe for a living. Your real estate is your royal fealty. Realty is royal fealty. These are tax collectors. They are the Paul or Saul of the Bible. They're the tax collectors that roam around to collect taxes, to own your flesh and blood. The level of vulnerability that I felt in the last few days has been greater than any I've known, and fear. It has imprisoned me. I walk around as though a prisoner, right? Every time I see a police car, I think they're looking at me. It's not because it's true, but fear can be induced to such a nature that you feel that way. When I'm walking and I see cars moving, I sometimes think like they move kind of slow, and I wonder why they're slowing down. received this week. Probably the scariest phone message I've ever heard. Very short. Very short. I think they wonder if it was the police, except they didn't identify themselves. They just used my mom's familiar name and said, I haven't heard from her. Nothing else. It's a way that human language, human behavior prepares us sometimes to see the worst or to communicate the worst, whether we know it or not. And chances are the old woman called her, thought my mom had her name on the phone display, but she didn't. It didn't appear that it's like they didn't know who it was. Interesting. And they didn't identify themselves. Most private callers or public citizens when they call, it'll say their name. You don't get it always, but so it scared her. It scared me. It was like somebody soliciting her attention. But as she described to me, the woman who she suspected had called her, just an old woman that used to live there, making any number of reasons why. Maybe her number is just too private, or maybe she assumed that if she changed her number, assumed that my mom had it in her call registry. And she said, yeah, she's a bit odd. She left the building under kind of suspicious circumstances, and she kind of expects a lot from people. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Combined with their assumptions. And I think that was a couple days ago now. The thing about the police, you see, is that, as far as I know, although I don't think we can always assume that we do, to identify themselves. You know, if that person said, call me, she would have. Right? So either it's nothing, or it's something fairly aggressive. A way of pandering or soliciting to my mom's fears. Call somebody. It's like, who? Because it had a phone number on there. Right? And when the police call, if the name is private, the number is also private. So it's very weird. My heart has been very troubled since. Middle class white people. I find them quite scary, actually. Nice thing to know. A strangely non-descriptive face. Like it's never really done anything. And I worked myself into quite a dither about it. And I slowly started to subside over the last couple of days, about 48 hours. And that was that. I thought, oh, okay. And I got my gains, thanks to my mom, and my body's constitution has increased. The feeling of being stalked. Yeah, I haven't had it before. And it gave me lots of useful suggestions out of the fear, in the prison of fear that I've been living off and on throughout the day. Although I slept really well last night. And whatever I do, I have to prioritize and appreciate the soundness of my home. And that there are things here which do not respect that. And this woman I was talking about, I knew of her when she was in the building, and nothing about her seemed right. In fact, none of the women in the building seemed ever all right. I think the building attracts some very strange females who come in and out of the building. It attracts some very strange people. It's really nice when you don't see anyone in the building. My mom agreed to buzz me around 2 o'clock to let me know she can pick me up. I'll be well on my way back. And it's amazing how just thinking about it stirs my blood back to everything that's kind of inspired this day. And the increasing vigors of my mind to breathe and to appreciate what is free, and the freedom or the ability that I have, and also the athletic demands upon my body, and my mind, and my heart that need to be attended to, including with without food. So, anyway, that sent a lot of fear through my system. And I said to myself, I went to sleep that night. It's like, well, they didn't identify themselves. So there was a police person that would identify themselves. Like, they have to do that. Unless there's like some other not, well, that's very aggressive. Solicitation, really. You try to scare someone into following you. But helpfully or not, it put me into a considerable amount of dread. More than I ever had in my life. Yeah. To bed a little bit of time every day. But I think, I marked the calendar and I thought, let's just take it one day at a time. Just lay the shock to rest. And I thought, this resonates with a deep level of shock in my life. A lot of primal shock. The sense of being imprisoned, the sense of having my dreams seem to be of the nature of a woman or a stranger to my home taking over taking away my things. Taking over my... I've had 2 dreams in the last month of police officers stalking me when I was a child. Not that the sense of my home, particularly the home where I grew up, of being surrounded by, and it gives you some idea of the deep primal fears of having my life taken away, and the dread of something occupying my home. And I think in all of the years dealing with trauma and my home and thinking about society, my relationship with my parents, which is strained in some respects, but healing in others, the sense of having sustained to my life, and that our home had sustained this real threat to our life, and to really place the whatever moral agency or explanatory agency that you can around you is to start open up to economic system around us, and what and how what takes things away from us, and how does it do that? And robbed of us of our safety in this condition, we might find what has that feeling of robbing people of things. What has the power to do that? Right? Got the phone on me so my mom can hear. And as I move through the contractions of that fear every day, nature says, you'll make it. Every day gets a little easier now, but I feel the contractions on my heart. It's like a heart attack. It hurts my heart. Well, my mom said to me, she described the word we call as strange and strangely perfunctory, like it was emotional. And her mind went to one person. So I think like a lady who lived in the building. I was like, oh. And I said, does she have any family? And she left the building under some difficult circumstances. I think she canceled a check or something instead of talking to the landlord. And then he said something about like, I can give you notice. And it scared her. And so she said, I don't like living under these conditions anymore, so I'm going to go. So I've learned what I'm afraid of. And then start to sculpt out what degree should I be afraid of these things. We came shopping to save myself. Oh, I hate it in there. My mom said to me, you don't like shopping anywhere. I said, no, I don't. I'm very anti-civilization. I don't think any shopping center is really there to make you feel good. From the music to the architecture. I was sitting there waiting for my mom to come out, and I looked at the architecture of Save-On. It looks like Saturn with Saturn's rings around it, right? And has the word O-N, a Boston sphere. And Save-On Foods has an S at the beginning of N. So, no sun. Sun, no sun. So the O-N in the sun is like sun and no sun. The S at the beginning of the N makes sun and no sun. Sun, no sun. Isn't that interesting? I mean, it's a difficult world to dabble in these types of reading the world. Once you become convinced or convince yourself of what unsatisfying the explanation of human suffering is, how unsatisfying people who have political economic grudges with the system as it is by this theory or this mark or another, and the religions and so forth. And we find it odd that in some sense we're considered rebels against the state, and yet the language they speak is so compatible with that of the banking system. And I found it very hard to take. And now, after many years of shock, I would say that it's just such an overwhelmingly controlling sort of belief sort of world, which induces a belief system that, satisfying as it may be, is only satisfying because it can be so compatible with what's hurting you in the first place. So the predator does not speak the language of the prey, but them to speak the language of the predator, right? And the language of the predator is not the language of the prey. And that's a scary thing. When you think about language as a law, they may not speak your language. And no matter what you say to them, they'll never speak yours. But they have the right to fine you or incarcerate you for not, right? They can prey on you, right? Because their language is bigger than yours. And your language can offend it. But their language doesn't matter if it offends you. It only matters if your language offends them. And then the other side is that this woman who left this message, be she who she may, right, helped to induce this fear in me and to continue a sense of dread that would have otherwise subsided by now. And it kept it alive, just this one thing. Another lady, a friend of mine who called me before, again, was with a dreadful anticipation. I watched up that phone. And she likes this woman, but this woman to me is a known, very aggressive person. Not in ways that you'd have to be very ungenerous, but but ways that you can pick out about people if you have the advantage. When my mom knows people, I have the advantage of sort of standing back from them. You know, when you live around people, you're polite and stuff. But do you ever just know someone in your building or your neighborhood and you have your reservations? I met a guy on the beach yesterday. We don't usually run into each other anymore. There's something really creepy about him. And I think he feels the same way about me. And I met him, he has a golden retriever. It's just the look on his face. I don't know, there's something about it. It's like the look on that woman's face. I just realized that young girl, it just kind of creeps me out. There's something kind of detached about it. You know, happy but detached in a way. Like not of the earth anymore. I know it sounds strange, but I'm gonna take a pee now. Oh. Yeah. Relaxing there. I'm not really to see me peeing, so. This isn't a good place to pee. Let's just go. Sorry. Very dire set of coincidences that lead me to believe there's some sort of natural and or other not quite so natural conditions around me. Natural in the sense that I can take something useful to my advantage of being, scared the hell out of. And to think about what attends this fear, who attends this fear. And there's a beautiful elephant tusk on those roots, and how I can learn from it, just deepen and deepen and deepen and learn and become a more mature human being in the world. Because,